I'm Cari Jones, and I am in charge of the kitchen ministries here at First Methodist Waco. I'm happy to say that Grace, I would not be here without Grace. Number one, I wouldn't be at this church. I've been a member for almost 14 years. And I wouldn't be in the kitchen at all if it wasn't for the grace of God. And I wouldn't be on this earth right now if it wasn't for Grace. My parents were high school sweethearts, and they bought the top couple acres of my grandparents' land, so we grew up just outside of Waco. Sundays were the best day of the week. My grandparents would swing by and pick Christina up in our little dresses, our church dresses that my grandmother made. I know who Jesus is, and I knew who Jesus was before I could even talk, but thanks to my grandmother. There is not a time in my memory that I did not know who Jesus was, that I did not know that he came to save me, that he was God's son. And I didn't have John 3:16 memorized. Like, I don't know a time that I didn't have that. Sundays, we went to Sunday school. My parents would meet us for church. And afterwards, we would all meet back at my grandparents' house for a big family meal. When the boys started getting bigger, then they were too rambunctious to stay in the house. So Christy and I were sent outside to keep in charge of the boys. I just remember trying to keep the boys from, falling in the stock tank or jumping in on purpose or ending up on the back of a cow or, oh my goodness, playing dodgeball with the cow patties. So I had to get creative to keep these boys entertained. I think that just grew naturally into a love of children, and I loved kids. So we had families in the church, friends of my parents who would, before I was even 16, would drop their kids off at my house. But I spent all of high school, that was my favorite thing besides school, was babysitting and getting to love on these kids. I graduated the top 10% of my class, and I knew I wanted to do something with kids, but I know myself enough to know I do not have patience enough to be a teacher. I did not know where I wanted to go, or I wasn't ready to leave Waco yet. All my kids were still little. Life was good. And then I was almost finished with my second year at MCC, and one of my kids died. She had been fighting cancer for 3 years, and she fought so hard. And we thought maybe this round of chemo, maybe she had it. And her little body just couldn't handle all the chemo, and she went into cardiac arrest, and she was 7 and she died. That just broke me. Like, I had made my own profession of faith when I was 13. I knew who Jesus was, and I knew how much he loved us, but I didn't have that relationship enough with him to know that I could be mad at him. Like, why did this happen, and why did you not save her? I prayed so hard. Like, every other thought I felt like constantly was, please save her, please heal her, please help her not to be afraid tonight. How did all that joy, how did it disappear? Where did she go? Like, what is she doing in heaven? Like, is she sleeping? Is it dark in heaven? She was terrified of the dark. So is she scared? Is someone there to comfort her? And all these questions keep rolling in my head, even though, I know that heaven is supposed to be the most amazing place, and that Jesus is with her, and she's not scared. But I didn't have enough faith of that to know that. It broke me. And I had two weeks left of class, and I barely made it through. Like, I went to class, I made it, but I was done. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I told my parents, I'm just gonna take a year off. Well, a year off ended up being 10, but I had my 4 families that they all had one baby that I got to love on, and then they started having 2, and then there were 3, and then one family had 4. I was busy. I was at their houses all the time and just living. And then my kids didn't need me so much. They were all in school, and I had to make the decision. So are you gonna be 32 and be a babysitter the rest of your life? Or are you gonna do something? I'm happy to say that even through all of that darkness, and Jesus met me right where I needed him, and I wanted to know more. I wanted to have that relationship with him so I could understand. And I'm still learning. I'm not there yet. I don't know if I ever will be. And I don't know if I'll ever have the answers on this side of heaven. And I think most days I'm at peace with that. But what I do know is that we are loved. We are loved beyond measure. That all of us are in the image of Christ.